Walking is an activity I have not always enjoyed. It is true that easy satisfactions are worthless. The struggle is the mark of true ownership. What I own is my satisfaction of walking. I started walking 3 years ago. That seems like I had been living without using my legs. When I say walking, I mean the routinized activity, the making of a habit and time-specific and expectant nature of routine, though the reward of routine was not expected. The start of satisfaction was the departure of expecting a reward. That was when I could say I am a walker, and walking is my activity, and walking is important to my lifestyle. Before walking, I was a homebody who considered walking to be another exercise or a method of arrival. I did not understand what walking could be for someone who owned it in themselves. It took 8 or 10 months to own my satisfaction. I first started in the morning before school, but quit on the third day. It was bothersome and boring, and I didn't yet feel its therapy and refreshment, but I understood of these things, for I was told about them through podcasts and articles. My understanding was not useless, though. It made goals for me. I assumed that if I didn't understand, then I would be more limited in the experience. The range of experience would be narrow, plain, and painless. I say painless because I have a presumption that pain must be included in the range, or else the entirety of it is trivial. It feels true for experiences without this serrated edge are worthless. I considered that if the capacity to understand is large, then the scale of both pleasure and pain are doubly so. Walking was and is painful. My toes, carpals, shins, heels did ache, chafing between my thighs, exposure to sun and rain and snow. There was a time even when I didn't like the heat of the sun. Now that heat is a craving, a cuddle from something greater than me. Then I walked in the evenings after school, but I was usually too tired to do it consistently, and the evening lost an essential quality which the morning always had. The mornings were metal sharp, refined, colder, at times crueler, and allowing for longer walks. Then I started in the morning, but instead of walking in my neighborhood before driving to school, I walked around campus at least 2 hours before my 10 p.m. class started. After the walking, half an hour or more, I went to the campus cafe and drank a large coffee. Walking in the early hours helped me discover areas I would have never either, because it was pointless or there were too many people around. But with walking as an activity, there was neither a point nor lack of point. The concept didn't work. It was just discovering and thinking, or not thinking and movement, blood flow, sunlight, and coffee after. With the coffee came sitting, more thinking, watching the campus cafe fill with the students and teachers, hearing the clicking keyboards and the backdrop of Taylor Swift or Post Malone, conversations of daily hassle and small breakfasts. Within 3 months of this 4 or 5 day routine, I noticed the top outer soles of my shoes had become smoothed. I was wearing outdated running shoes and I had to buy another pair. But after 2 months of scouring the campus paths, the outer soles smoothed out again. I looked online for what cause or symptom. An article said that I had underpronation, a defect in my gait that put pressure on the outside of the foot. I videotaped myself walking in the basement. We had a large basement where my mother would have parties. I looked at the videos and could not see a problem. I asked my sister about my walking and she said she always knew. She said, "You have a very unattractive walk. Walking like a duck," she continued, "or an obese penguin." She videotaped me walking in the driveway. My feet were skewed out and there was a lift at the ball of my feet in each step, as if I was doing calf raises. How many people knew of my defect? And why did they never tell me? I had been walking the campus like a freak for 3 months in the mornings. Begin each step with the heel hitting the ground and the ball coming down, my enlightening sister told me. Point the toes forward. Start that by turning in the hips. She showed me her normal walk. I tried her suggestions and she said it looked better. But not good? She searched on her phone. Book an appointment with a podiatrist. First, I walked in the neighborhood trails with my new technique. I was self-conscious about my morning walks on campus. I made new discoveries by focusing on how I walk. My head was always downward, my shoulders tightened upwards, my hands moving too quickly, stiff hips. Consciously forcing my feet inches more inward made my glutes sore. Then I continued my usual campus walks and started new ones. The sole still smooth without any difference to before. I must replace shoes in around 4 months. The mark of my defect, apparent in all of my pairs. I don't like buying new shoes. If I do, they're always a pair of casual hikers since they're more durable. I'm not medically bothered by the sole smoothing. At least my walk looks less deformed. But they eventually rip a hole, which lets in water. The rubbing ground irritates me, and I'm aware that when sat and resting my calves on my knee, as I like doing, the smooth upper sole looks bizarre.